Well, hey guys, how's it going? Look at this, got on shorts. Okay. Um, oh my, the last 3 weeks have just been busy. You know, I did 2 weeks back to back of camping, and then last week I went out of town to where I used to live with my daughter and went to a music festival. So the next 2 weeks I'm just going to stay home and chill and get some things done around the house and finally get those boxes that all my Amazon camping gear came in. Finally going to get those out the house today. But what I wanted to talk about is the Carlee Russell thing. Now, you know, I'm not qualified, but that doesn't matter. Whether you're qualified or not, you got an opinion, you know. So, you know, I thought I would share mine because maybe I don't look at it from the same perspective as a lot of people. But first I'm going to tell you the story of what happened when we went to this music festival, because I think it all ties in together. Okay? So let me go ahead and do my intro thing, and I'll be right back. Okay, so, you know, we get to this music festival. Now, I admit I didn't really skim all the rules. I just kind of got the gist of it. And so they offered food and drink inside the festival for purchase, but I didn't really see where they said you couldn't bring anything from the outside in. So I just basically assumed she probably couldn't, and I used a clear stadium bag so that, you know, just in case it had those kinds of rules, I would be good. Now, my daughter just bought a regular black backpack because she said she didn't even think about it. I said, well, worst case scenario, if it turns out you have to have a stadium bag, then we can just put the essentials in my bag. So yeah, totally unprepared, just wanted to go. Okay, so we get there and there's an older couple, and when I say older, I mean my age, 65, 66, in front of us, and he has a cup from Chick-fil-A, a styrofoam cup. And so they said, well, you can't bring that in here. And he goes, why? She says, because it might be alcohol. She didn't say you couldn't, you know, she didn't say, well, you can't bring anything in. She specified that it might be alcohol. And he goes, well, I can tell you it's not. If you want to, you can smell. She goes, no, it'd just be better if you dumped it out. And he goes, no, I'm not going to dump it out, but I'll tell you what, I will drink it before we get to the actual concert area. And him and his wife handed over their tickets and walked on. I'm like, whoa, okay. So, you know, I have this bottle of water in my clear backpack. And, you know, these days I'm drinking Fuji or alkaline water, but I find that it hydrates me really well. She takes one look at my water in my backpack. She goes, you're going to have to pour that out. So just like the other guy, I go, but why? And she goes, because it might be alcohol. I said, well, it's not alcohol. You can smell. She goes, well, no, you need to pour it out. And so then my daughter interjects. She goes, well, I didn't see anywhere on the website where it says you couldn't bring anything in. And a woman walks over to my daughter and she tries to show her something. And my daughter said, well, you know, if that's what it says, fine. She goes, Mom, just pour it out. I'll get you another water. So I pour out my water. And the woman says, well, there are water fountains all over the place. Now, you might say, why did you pour your water out? He didn't pour his out. Nobody stopped him. Well, you know why? That's why. Now, I have never played the race card. I don't believe in that. But I'm also in tuned enough with society to realize there are certain things that I, as a brown-skinned person, maybe don't want to get involved with because it could go a little worse for me. And also, that's the town my daughter lives in, and she owns a business. I did not want to cause any kind of scene that might have negative connotations on her business. So I poured my water out. But I'm pissed about the whole thing. You know, I am a little bit pissed. So, we get to where we're going, and because it's like a rolling hillside, and you can choose where you want to sit, because they have this like open air concert area. So we choose a spot that's on a curve, because a road also runs through it, which basically puts us in the first row. Now, we're not right up on the curve. We're a little far back from it, because there's a trash can there, and you don't want to have a trash can in your face. So we're a little far back, but we have established the front row, and there were already people on this side and already people on that side. Well, we got there a little early, concert started a little late, and more people started to come in. And there is a gap between my chair and the people on the other side. So people are using that gap as a walkway to get up behind us, so they can set up their chairs and things. I'm not thrilled about it, but I'm like, okay, fine. That's what happens when you're on the first row, and there's a gap, and people are going to use it. Otherwise, they have to walk all the way around, to get down to the street level, I guess you could call it. So at some point, an acquaintance of my daughter, who is also an African American black woman, who has a very high position in one of our banks, and she is like uber nice. I mean, she's a very nice lady. And so she's friends with the people on the other side of us. And she puts her chair, and she makes it a point to ask me, do you mind if I put my chair here? Which is basically a little in front of me and to the side. So that makes a new first row. But I'm like, okay, no, I can see, so that's fine. But what it did was it changed the trajectory of the pathway. So instead of people coming from behind me and just walking straight through, now they come from behind me, then they got to veer off towards me to get around her chair to get out. So now I feel like I just got people all over me, and I'm still pissed about the water. So my daughter goes to get me some new water and, pick up our food for us. In the meantime, people are just walking past me, getting close to my knees, and getting out. I can't even really cross my legs because my toes are being in the way. And you know what? I'm feeling a certain kind of way about all this. I'm starting to feel a little put upon. So while my daughter was off getting the food and the drinks, I moved our chairs. I moved all three of our chairs because, grandson got a little chair too. And the wagon, because we brought the wagon to put him in and hold all our stuff in to get, into the festival area. I moved all of our chairs up to the same place this bank executive's chair is. So now the front row has gotten closer to the curve, which also means I'm closer to the trash can. So I actually moved the trash can to the other curb across the road because I don't want people throwing trash in the trash can, which basically would make me feel like they were throwing trash in my face. So when my daughter gets back and she sees what I'd done, and she looks at the lady, and she looks at me, she goes, "Mom, what's gotten into you?" I said, "You know what, honey? I work way too damn hard to be second class anything. I don't care who she is or who any of these people are. You're not going to put me in a position where I'm second." I said, I upset her when I moved my chair straight up parallel with hers, to the point that she was barely in her chair the whole music festival. She was hanging out with friends, but it upset her that I did that. And it didn't bother me one bit, because my feeling is I got just as much right as you have, and I was here first. Yes, you were polite and asked me whether or not I could see, but now all the traffic is veered towards me. Instead of just going past me, now it's all coming past me, veering towards me so they can get out. And I felt like I didn't deserve that. So that leads me to this. Do I think it's fair when a black person does something and then all black people are made to feel guilty because of it? No, I don't. You know, when white people do things, everybody does is go, see, that's how white people are. People don't do that. But sometimes people do that when black people do it. You know, when all this stuff with Carlee first started, I went, oh my God, I hope she's okay. You know, but one of the things that did kind of stick with me was, how the hell did she even see that kid? It's 9:30 at night. You're doing 70 miles an hour on a highway in the dark. How did you even see that kid? How did you even have time to focus on what that was? I mean, did you take your eyes off the road to look back and go, was that a kid? I mean, how did you even see this? Maybe I'm the only blind person, because I know I wouldn't have been able to see it. You know, so that was the thing that struck me at first. Was she even able to recognize what she saw when you're doing 70 miles an hour at night with all this other traffic around you? And that, and it was something else. And this is before the police report came out. This is what struck me in the beginning. I saw the video where the car was on the side of the road and the flashers were on. And in the beginning, I think they did say what her police report was, and she had said something about following the little child for about 600 yards. And someone said that's 6 football fields. Actually, it's 5, because there's 120 yards in a football field. So basically 5 football fields. I know my daughter like the back of my hand. I can spot her in the crowd because I know the shape of her body. I know the way she walks. These are the things you just, when you know someone really well, you can pick them out. Even if you can't see their face, you can pick them out just from their body dynamics. If my daughter was at the end of one football field, I would not be able to pick out the dynamics to say it was her. And if she was 5 football fields away, I probably wouldn't see her at all. Probably be just a spot, you know. But, you know, she said she followed this child for 600 yards. And I'm thinking, I don't even think I can walk 5 football fields, not without some assistance and a cane. I mean, is it really possible for a 3 or 4 year old to walk that far without at some point walking into the road and getting hit by a car, or walking into the woods, or falling down? Those are the 2 things that struck me even before the police report came out. But even with that said, my feeling was, oh my God, I hope she's okay. I hope she's okay. And then the police report comes out. The first thing they tell us is that she was observed on surveillance camera at her job concealing a bathrobe and some toilet paper. And I said, so right off the bat, she's a thief. Well, she ain't got that job no more. And then they reveal all her searches that are so suspect. I mean, so suspect. And then she said it was a red-headed guy with a bald spot. Well, she might as well just said it was a white guy. I mean, at this point, in my heart, I felt like, okay, she's lying. I mean, at this point, I can't even give the benefit of the doubt anymore. She's lying. Okay, then her parents do an interview. And mind you, not just an interview to say, please, if you thank you for your support, or, whatever, yada, yada, yada. They do a paid interview. And one of the questions that was asked was, what kind of condition was she in when she came home? And the mother said, well, we can't answer that because the investigation is still ongoing. I don't see any reason why that question couldn't be answered. Either she was boogered up from head to toe because this was a horrific ordeal, or she was fine. But I don't see why telling us what kind of condition she was in is something they could not share. Well, eventually the police told us that she had a tear in her shirt and she had a little cut on her lip. So basically she was fine when she came home, which I guess is not what they wanted to say. But since they knew the condition she was in, And they knew the police knew they couldn't make it worse than it was, so they just chose not to answer it. Now, there are people who say, well, you know, the next time an African-American woman gets missing, people are going to give it the side eye before they jump into it. Because the Hoover police jumped into this. I cannot find fault with anything they did. They were on this like white on rice, no offense. Now, is that true? Is it possible the next time something like this happens that they might not get the priority they got in this case? It depends on the people. Because there are going to be people who are going to color all African Americans by what one does. And so there's a possibility someone's life could be in danger because of this. And that's why I find fault with this young woman. What you did, I mean, you hurt a lot of people. I mean, she hurt a lot of people. You know, prayers, I mean, you know how many people put up prayers and then they felt like their prayers were wasted? You know, I'm glad she's home safe. But man, if this turns out to be what it looks like it's turning out to be, her and her family need to pay. You know, I don't care. Make an example. I don't really care. But they need to know, and anybody in the future needs to know, you cannot play with people's emotions and people's time and people's money. You cannot do this. So that's my opinion. Yeah, you know, some more stuff's going to come out, but she's pretty much busted. You know, I figure she don't have a job. I know her mother sells real estate. Her dad is an underwriter or something for an insurance company. Don't quote me on that. But they might not have jobs either. Because if this whole thing was a hoax and the parents knew, and I kind of have a feeling they did, because there was something about the father's body language that told me he didn't really want to be there. But if it turns out they did know, and they continued on because they didn't want their daughter to be embarrassed or whatever, well, you know, both of them have jobs that are positions of trust. Just like, you know, Carlee was a nursing, big B. Oh my God, that's the biggest B I've ever seen. And I'm not even camping. Sheesh. Is a position of trust. Now, most of you know I owned a cleaning service for a lot of years. Absolute position of trust. And this is back before they had, you know, Alexas and cameras in the house. When someone gave you the keys to their home, they trusted you with all their stuff and all of their information. In other words, you know, I never went in the closet that wasn't on my list to clean. You know, I never talked about my clients' lives because that's an invasion of privacy. It's a job that requires absolute trust. I also have a security badge for FEMA. Okay? So I'm a real stickler for those kinds of things. And what I see here looks like it was such a betrayal of trust on so many levels that I find it unforgivable. For everybody involved in it, I find it very unforgivable. So that's me. I'll see you on the next trip. Take care, stay blessed, and it's hot out here. Bye.